Okay. Good evening. Welcome to the October 7th regular meeting of your Board of Commissioners. Thank you, Susan. Tonight, we'll have our invocation will be delivered by the County Manager, Lance Metzler. And we'll ask everyone to stand if you are able and remain standing after the invocation for our Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand if you're able.
Please join me and bow your heads. Heavenly Father, we're gathered here today to do the work that you see fit. We have many issues that face the nation, state, and county, but you are just, righteous God that will allow the good outweigh the bad. Please bless the agenda and the Board of Commissioners who will make decisions in the best interest of all of our citizens. Allow our commissioners to have the strength and guidance from you while guiding our county to be a better place to live, work, and play. Help us to always remain loyal to you and do your good work that you see fit. In your gracious name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. Please remain standing. I'll ask Miss Reese Claybrook. She's 11 years old. Make your way to the podium. And she's in the 5th grade at Dillard Elementary. She plays softball and volleyball. And thank you for being here tonight, ma'am. If you'll lead us in the pledge, I'd appreciate it.
I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Claybrook. Well, tonight, the first thing on our list, item number 4, is a recognition for breast cancer awareness. I'll ask Ms. April Cox and Ms. Christy Fox if you guys want to make your way to the podium and present tonight. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for the opportunity. Good evening, esteemed members of the board. I'm April Cox. I stand before you this evening not only as a resident of Rockingham County, but also as a 2-time survivor of breast cancer, and I'm not even 40 years old yet. My journey through diagnosis, treatment, and recovery has profoundly shaped my perspective on the importance of awareness and advocacy, and I appreciate this opportunity to share my story and insights with you. Breast cancer is not just a statistic. It affects real people, our friends, family, and neighbors. According to the American Cancer Society, about 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer in their lifetime. The statistic is daunting, but I'm living proof that awareness, early detection, and support can make a significant difference. In October of 2020, at the age of 35, my doctor recommended my first mammogram based solely on my family history of breast cancer. 5 years before the standard recommendation. I was reminded that I may have to pay out of pocket since I wasn't 40. However, I proceeded because it was important that my doctor and I stay on top of my health. To my surprise, I had early-stage breast cancer. I'll spare you the details of the many pieces leading up to the diagnosis, but I'm forever grateful to my doctor for sending me early. A punch in the gut for sure, but the prognosis was great considering that it was detected so early. After much research and meetings with the medical team, I opted for a double mastectomy to reduce my risk of recurrence. No additional treatment was needed for the type of breast cancer I had, and for that I was relieved. Tough surgery? Sure. I was 2 months into my new role as director at the Rockingham County Partnership for Children, and now was going to have to be out for 8 weeks to recover. But push through the hard thing right now to have only a 1 to 3% chance of recurrence. I can do this, and I did. I proceeded to adjust to the new normal. And then 3 years later, almost to the day, in October of 2023, I detected a lump and knew something wasn't right. I went in immediately, and the whirlwind of ultrasounds, biopsies, and scans began. The news came again. Ms. Cox, I'm sorry, it is cancer. No way. My chance was so minimal. I exercise regularly, I eat healthy, and I live a healthy life. This time I didn't get so quote-unquote lucky. I was told I would have to undergo 6 rounds of chemotherapy, a year of immunotherapy, 28 rounds of radiation, a lumpectomy, and tamoxifen and oral medication for 5 years. The race began again. My port was placed, and I started chemo the very next day. The prognosis was great because I caught it early again, and the treatment was effective for HER2-positive breast into this second journey, and it is by far the hardest thing I've had to conquer in my life. I decided to work during most of my treatment and take sick days when I couldn't muster the strength or energy to get out of bed. Not sure I would recommend that to others. The side effects of cancer treatment are brutal. That's the only way I know how to describe it. There are fellow cancer fighters and survivors, even in this room, that I have connected with because of this terrible diagnosis. We connect and sometimes laugh at the horrific stories we have in common with symptom management and side effects of chemo. If employers, supervisors, or coworkers only knew, and some do, what it is like to make the drive to work and even make it through the workday while dealing with side effects of chemo. Extreme nausea, fatigue, intense gastrointestinal issues, and brain fog. You would be shocked to hear the strategies and accommodations that we've had to make to be able to perform our job duties. The physical and mental toll it takes on you is life-changing. But I'm thrilled to share that in April of this year, I was given the No Evidence of Disease report again. During my battle with breast cancer, I discovered the power of community, from the friends and family who stood by me to the healthcare professionals who guided my treatment. I learned that we are stronger together. Awareness initiatives can provide critical education about the importance of regular screenings and self-examinations. They can help demystify the disease and break down the stigma that often surrounds it. So I urge this board and everyone here in this room tonight listening to consider supporting local campaigns that promote breast cancer awareness and advocate for funding for research and patient resources. Simple actions like community workshops, informational materials, support groups, they can make a tremendous impact. We can empower our citizens to take charge of their health and foster an environment where everyone feels safe to share their experiences. Every dollar invested in research brings us one step closer to better treatments and ultimately a cure. Additionally, I encourage you to use your positions and influence to support family-friendly workplace policies. Benefits such as paid medical or family leave, health insurance or wellness benefits, shared leave, flexible scheduling, remote options, all of these things can be helpful and necessary to support someone undergoing cancer treatments. My employer is a Family Forward North Carolina certified employer, and I'm grateful to have had a supportive work environment during this battle. And at a minimum, show kindness and grace to your friends, your neighbors, your coworkers, and family members battling. Keep these stories in mind. There's so much more to fighting cancer than what you see outwardly. Together, we can make a difference. Let us commit to making Rockingham County a leader in breast cancer awareness and support. Thank you for your time and your dedication to the health and well-being of our community.
Thank you, Ms. Cox.
Good evening, esteemed members of the Board of Commissioners. I am Christy Fox. I am a current employee of Rockingham County in the Adult Medicaid Unit. Like April, I too am a breast cancer patient. In August of last year, my mother fell and was hospitalized for a week. During the time we visited her, both my husband Mike and I caught colds. Mike fought his off and was reasonably well within a week or so. I could not shake my cold off. No matter what I took, I just was not getting better. It was as if my body was just saying I cannot fight anything else. In September, I noticed a large swelling on my collarbone. It came up literally in a day's time and was the size of an egg. My husband and I rushed to urgent care, and they sent us to the emergency room, and we were told, don't worry about it, it's just a fatty lipoma. It was, in fact, a swollen lymph node, and it was my body sending up a flare, so to speak. Something is very wrong, and you need to pay attention. In October of that year, I felt a lump in my breast. I scheduled a mammogram. I live in Madison, and we have one doctor's office. They do not have a mammogram machine. So I scheduled one with the Mobile Breast RV. In November, I went to that appointment and was told they could not do my mammogram as I was having symptoms of breast cancer, and their machine is just a screening machine, not a diagnostic machine. I was told they would set up an appointment for me at the breast center in Greensboro. That was scheduled for February of 2024. At that point, I had been having symptoms of breast cancer for 3 months, and now I was told to wait another 3 months to see if I, in fact, did have it. I called the breast center on a weekly basis, begging for an earlier appointment, and was finally seen in January of 2024, where I was diagnosed with breast cancer. You then go through a multitude of blood tests and genetic tests and PET scans. On February 12th, 2024, I was told that I have de novo stage 4 breast cancer. De novo meaning that I was stage 4, the worst stage, at diagnosis. My breast cancer has breached the breast. It is in my lymph nodes in my collarbone, as well as 5 lymph nodes in my chest. I am lucky, though, that it has not invaded any of my organs. My disease is considered treatable, but unfortunately not curable. Unlike April, I will continue treatment for the rest of my life. Many women with my specific type of breast cancer, which there are many subtypes, live 20 or more years, so I am not considered terminal. I am treated like I have a chronic illness. I completed 6 rounds of chemotherapy and was declared no evidence of disease. I began immunotherapy, and after 3 rounds, I began having symptoms of another type of breast cancer. After many more tests, it was discovered that the few remaining scattered cancer cells had mutated and turned into inflammatory breast cancer. I have now had 2 distinctly different types of breast cancer in the same breast within 1 year, and I should really start playing the lottery. I stopped immunotherapy and began chemotherapy again, and that was one of the hardest things I've ever heard from a physician. You will need to do chemo again. As April said, the best word to describe it is brutal. Wesley Long has a side effect team that works with you, and they told me up front, we know the chemo will kill your cancer. Our job is to keep it from killing you. I have missed many, many days of work due to the side effects, but I have not missed a single deadline or due date, and I pride myself on that. I've had the complete and total support of the DSS department, and especially my adult Medicaid team. They have supported me, laughed with me, bought me silly hats, and yes, they've cried with me too. I feel that a few things need to be addressed given my experience. Western Rockingham County desperately needs more medical options and a diagnostic mammogram somewhere in-house. It's far too easy to decide waiting 3 months and going into Greensboro is just too much of a hassle, and I fear women will skip these diagnostic appointments. Also, I have a daughter who's 25 years old. Her paternal grandmother is a breast cancer survivor, and now her mother has stage 4 breast cancer. Regardless of the fact that statistics are showing an increase in younger and younger women, Sarah cannot get a mammogram. The doctors will not order it because insurance will not pay for it. She is told to wait until she is 40, which is the standard of care. Imagine if April had waited till she was 40. With a close family history, doctors need to insist on an early baseline mammogram, and insurance companies need to pay for it. Our family already has a big enough battle to fight without worrying about the what-ifs for Sarah. I too urge you to support breast cancer research, more local facilities, and local support agencies. We cannot win this fight alone. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for sharing these powerful and moving stories, ladies. Thank you. Next item on our agenda is approval of our agenda. I don't know of any changes, gentlemen. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, gentlemen. We have a motion and a second. I'll say Mark made the motion, and I'll say Don seconded. All right, with that, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Very good.
Mr. Chair, there's one item that I would like to call attention to under the consent agenda when you get to it.
Yes,
Would you like to do it now?
Go ahead, Commissioner.
So item number, I'm sorry, I've lost it, 6C, is there we go, yep, is the increase in the water rate for the 158 line system. And I'd just like to point out for our viewers that don't see this, that this is because of a 64.77% in the water rates from the city of Reedsville that we purchased that water from. So it's necessary to increase that, not because we wanted to increase it, but because the city who supplies the water is increasing their rate pretty drastically. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Very good. Can I consider that a motion to approve the consent agenda? Thank you, Commissioner Powell. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Very good, thank you. We have an approved consent agenda. That takes us, our next item is going to be public comment. We do have one person signed up to speak, so I'll ask our county manager if he would read the guidelines for public comment, please.
Yes, sir. The public comment period shall be for the purpose of allowing members of the public to present any matter pertaining to county business or items on the Board of Commissioners' agenda. Remarks shall be addressed directly to the Board of Commissioners, not to the staff, the audience, or media. The chairperson just opened up the public comment period. Any speaker who wishes to speak shall approach the podium and not speak from his or her seat. Each speaker should clearly state his or her name and physical address when he or she approaches the podium. Each citizen should be allowed 3 minutes. Since we don't have but more than one individual, I won't go over the other part of that. Your time will be displayed on the monitor in front of you. The time clock will start with 3 minutes. You will hear a beep at 1 minute to alert you to wrap up your comments. Speakers will not be allowed to campaign for public office, promote private business ventures, or use language of a personal nature which insults or demeans any person or which, when directed at a public official, is not related to his or her duties. Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Mr. Smith, Roger Smith, if you'll make your way to the podium, give us your name and address, sir, and you'll have 3 minutes as soon as you've done doing that.
First of all, I'd like to just take one moment to, God bless you, whatever. I mean, I can sympathize with you. I've had 3 types of cancer. I'm still having treatments, Chapel Hill, and so forth. I've had prostate cancer twice. I've also know what you go through with a mammogram. I've had breast cancer, and also I've had stage 3B melanoma with 5 surgeries. So God bless you. Excuse me.
It's fine.
My name's Roger L. Smith. I live at 380 Cinnamon Road, Stoneville, North Carolina. I'm 80 years old. I'm a disabled vet. And again, I can really sympathize with these young ladies. It's going to make me hard to get through it listening to them. But anyway, I'm here to speak on my property at 2177 Dan Valley Road, which most of you, or the majority, know my situation. Back last July, my wife and I agreed on a 20-foot easement through the length of my bottom and, you know, signed the papers and so forth for Mr. Tate and Mr. Albright. I have not been able to use my property since I call it destruction, but construction began shortly after this by the county's contractors. Several trees, including some of my walnut trees, were cut well outside the 20-foot easement. My entire bottom was used for equipment, supplies, and rutted out by heavy equipment. I wasn't able to get through my road into the river to even use myself. There are ruts, chunks of debris, mounds of dirt, limbs, and so forth throughout my property right now. There had never been any standing water on my property, and now I have a standing water and a mosquito pond, and me or the neighbor, my property is not happy. Everything I had on my property was either ran over or destroyed. It's like they intentionally done it because it was from here to the parking lot from the work area. I had 2 folding 12-person picnic tables. They cut trees, dropped them on them.
You have another minute, sir. You have another minute.
All right, and so forth. Destroyed them. Had concrete round table benches, long chairs, 4 sections of 4x8 plywood decking. Ran over that. I had a campsite there that my friend used. Had 8 treated 2x4s fastened down by rebar, tandem load of gravel, had a fire pit with 80 blocks, all that's gone, destroyed. It knocked over the bird bath I had in the middle of the bottom, which was my mother's. Ran into my kayak laying there in plain view, and all this stuff I have pictures of. I have pictures of before and after. I've shown them to all involved. I kept this bottom 8+ acres mowed, and you could drive any type car vehicle to the river and wouldn't even get your tires dirty. Piedmont Gas went over and above, even paid me $500 extra to use the staging area for working supplies and even put down timbers and everything. And when they left that, it was matted, seeded, fixed my driveway, gravel the driveway and so forth. DOT just finishing up the same, believe it or not. They leveled out gravel, sowed it, matted it, put gravel on my driveway over and above what I actually even expected.
Mr. Smith, your time has expired. If you could wrap it up, I'd appreciate it.
All right, just one, and even though I probably want to be sure my drive, if we do ever get anybody down there, I don't want them to mess up what is already there, and the DOT is just complaining and so forth. I've been promised several times it'd be cleaned up, it'd be bush hogged, the gravel back my drive and all that. My question is now, what is your timelines and expected date for my family and friends have not been able to use this area the whole year and so forth, and I've met with some of y'all. I've done everything but beg, so if I have to beg now, I'm begging. Just please, God, give me some relief. It's the worst thing, if I had to do over with, I would, I don't know. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Smith, thank you for being here tonight, and somebody will follow back up with you regarding this issue.
Do we have a time frame on following back up with him?
I will get that for him tomorrow.
Okay, so Mr. Smith, our understanding is you'll hear from somebody tomorrow. If you don't hear from somebody tomorrow, please reach out to any of the five of us. Okay.
And again, on July the 12th, which, you know, we were down there on the 9th and you was back on the 12th. And Ronnie said, you know, we're going to work on it and do it and so forth, but don't expect anything soon. But Lord help me. I mean, it's been forever. Thank y'all.
Can you, can we keep him in the loop on with these conversations? I mean, so every couple of weeks, can you or Mr. Albright touch base with him and let him know where we're at on this until we get this fixed?
Sure.
I think it's time that we do that for this gentleman, to let him know what's going on.
Very good. Thank you, gentlemen. The next item is a presentation by Ursel Young, the Assistant Superintendent.
Good evening, Chairman Hall, Commissioners, and County Manager Metzler. Tonight, I am here to not ask for more money, but to ask for a reallocation of existing restricted sales tax for the demolition and replacement of stairs at Holmes Middle School. And I do have a presentation of those stairs. Well, it is not going anywhere. Okay. So what we have here is the initial sighting of the stairs. This is the stairwell located on the north side of the school. And if you look at it, I've been told by some of those people who have seen it that it looks like it may need some paint. But then if you look and I discovered these during a school walkthrough. I discovered that set of stairs on the left-hand side and immediately called our architecture firm, an architect, to come out and look at them. Also, I've met with the fire marshals and the county building inspector. And when school started, if you look at the picture on the right with the gentleman there, the concrete, and that's what the steps are made out of, concrete, it began to crumble and fall. So the opposite set of steps, you can see they have a steel structure holding them up. And so I was told approximately 8 years ago that steel structure was put there. And that is on the second set of steps after the first landing. And then underneath that same set of steps that has the steel structure, underneath, that if you look at that on the bottom floor, you don't see much there. But then, when I was with the architect, I had asked him, I said, let's look at this second set of steps. They were obviously put there at the same time frame. And he was able to take his hand and hit, and so that concrete that you see underneath came from that. This is an emergency situation, and we need to move swiftly. We do have the architects in place. We need to either look at, we have several options going back with concrete. However, what we know is that concrete, when there is a weather situation and if any salt or chemical is put on concrete, it does deteriorate it. And there are times when you can't see it on the outside, but there's a reaction that's going on the inside. As you can see here from these pictures, even from discovery to when students came to school, that deterioration had happened. What we are asking for is a reallocation of existing projects, the Moorhead lighting, parking lot lighting, and also Holmes Middle School parking lot lighting, reallocating those funds to pay for the replacement of these steps.
So you're asking for the lighting projects will be postponed?
No, sir. They will not be postponed. We have quotes that have come in under budget. And if any of you have time to go by Dalton McMichael High School, we have already begun the project over there. And it is literally night and day in the parking lot over there. And then we'll have, this is including changing out light heads on existing poles and adding more poles.
So the projects have come in under budget?
Yes.
Have the projects come in under budget enough for this $250,000
Yes.
that you're asking to
Yes.
be moved?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Gentlemen, any questions?
Motion.
Sorry.
Hang on, let's see. Commissioner Barham?
Thank you, Commissioner, Chairman Hall. Ms. Young, so I went to this school in the late 90s, and I remember these steps well. And while I don't dispute that the concrete may have fallen off during this inspection here, this didn't happen from the time school started till now. So I understand ultimately you're the one who oversees this, but at a particular school, who is it that's in charge of keeping eyes on any type of incident like this?
So principals have a walkthrough sheet, and they walk through with our director of safety as well. But this particular deterioration on these steps, I mean, if you were to look at it, you may not see what's going on the inside.
I understand. Just from the previous photo that you showed, there was obviously if you can go back one more. Yes, or that one. Just above the man's head there, obviously you can see there's a hunk missing.
There he is.
If you were to go up those stairs, that's something that would catch your eye, or something that would catch my eye. So I just was curious, who's, on a daily basis, who's observing these grounds to make sure things like this aren't happening?
So if you look at the picture on the opposite side, that hunk is not missing. And that was just a matter of like 2 weeks where that hunk fell down.
So the principals are the ones that conduct observations like this?
Yes.
Okay.
Along with our director of safety, they do walks of the school, and then they have a checklist.
How often does the director of safety do a walkthrough at a particular school?
The director of safety is walking around. He's doing periodic checks by himself. He does a full walk around of the school during the summer with the principal.
So every school once a year gets a check like that?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, Commissioner Powell?
So the current picture that we have up, I realize maybe the chunk fell out, but those cracks, did they happen in the 2 weeks that we're talking about, or since the school?
No, it did not happen the if you can look on the right-hand side, you see the differences. So immediately, once I saw it, I contacted the fire marshal, the building inspector, and then we contacted, first of all, when I saw it, we contacted an architect to look at it, and then we contacted our fire marshal. And
I wasn't asking you that in regards to what action you took, but I do want to ask, what is the accountability for principals and other staff that are charged with, inspecting the school? Because obviously this didn't happen, from the time school started until you lodged it or whatever. So is there some accountability for this type of stuff? Because obviously this is an emergency situation. It is very dangerous. So I'm just wondering how you walk by and you see cracks in concrete. When you start seeing cracks in concrete steps, there's a problem. I mean, that obviously we
agree.
didn't build it like that. So I'm just wondering, is there some kind of accountability or is there some kind of education process that we can do for the principals that teach them what they need to be looking for so that we don't have an incident where somebody gets hurt because of dilapidated steps or whatever the case may be?
yes. So like I said, our director of safety, along with our maintenance director, what they are doing, they have constructed a new form, and they will be going out with the principals and going over that form with them to help them look. There are things on that form that include like HVAC, and there are rooms in your schools, and when principals change schools, they need to know where these rooms are because it's different from school to school. And just as an example, I was in a school as a principal. When I pulled the fire alarm, the fire department showed up. I was moved to another school, pulled the fire alarm, didn't hear any alarms because of the difference in schools. So you do have to educate principals.
I got you. Thank you.
Very good. Mr. Burke?
I remember someone showing me some other photographs of this stairwell. I'm assuming it's the same one. And there was significant rust at the bottom of some of the handrails. And that certainly didn't happen in a 2 to 4 week period of time. So I've got some concern as to, kind of like what Commissioner Powell mentioned, who's looking over these things, what are their qualifications, and whether or not we do have proper eyes on some of these issues in our aging facilities. It's certainly a major issue that occurred over a period of time, and there were some other red flags that I know now it's kind of like Monday morning quarterback, but there are certainly some other red flags that people in certain fields can pick up on. And hopefully whatever changes you're making are enough. Just glad that you are making some adjustments. Hopefully you've got some people that are going through those buildings that have the qualifications necessary to pick up on these major issues.
Right, and I do appreciate you all understanding too that, and we've had these discussions before, that as we find things, we will bring them and move them up on the prioritization list because safety is the main issue, number one issue.
Thank you, Ms. Young. Commissioner Richardson? Did you want to make a motion?
I did, but I want to, notwithstanding that we're very interested in not repeating this sort of situation, I want to offer some appreciation that you do consider it a necessary item to get done quickly, and I move that we approve your request.
Gentlemen, we have a motion and we have a second. Thank you, Commissioner Barrow. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Very good. Thank you, Ms. Young.
Thank you
Please
all.
proceed quickly.
Thank you.
Next item on our list, item B, Ms. Lindsay Pegg, our tourism manager. Wheeler too, I apologize.
Anna Wheeler with Den River Basin Association is actually going to join me in this presentation, if I can. Good evening, gentlemen, County Manager. I will let Anna kind of kick things off, but we greatly appreciate your time. Anna's been working on this master plan for 3 years. And so this is really just being able to take this time to present this master plan and also to kind of give you an update of what we are doing in the county in terms of outdoor recreation. So Anna Wheeler, I'll let you take over.
Great.
And here's your clicker.
Oh, awesome. Chairman, Commissioners, and County Manager, thank you so much for having us here today. We're going to talk about outdoor recreation in Rockingham County. So you think about outdoor recreation, we're looking at trails, paddling, hiking, right, exploring all of our wonderful natural assets in Rockingham County. So this outdoor recreation master plan, which I'm sure you all have one of these by now, yes, and you've seen a link to it as well. It's on our website. So this master plan took over 3 years of project planning, over 6 public meetings. We had a steering committee of over 12 people, including municipalities. Each one of our municipalities was represented on it, including the county. And so the importance of a master plan is pretty much for leveraging funding for other projects, right? So when you apply for a grant, which is really instrumental for us in a county like this, where, there's not a lot of, big funding for outdoor recreation just because of our ruralness, these projects can be funded mostly with outside resources. So grants always ask, do you have a master plan that has this listed as a priority project? So once we have all of these, the outdoor recreation master plan adopted in each one of our municipalities, we can say yes. So you all are our last group that we've come to. We've had all the municipalities approve this and write a resolution of support for the master plan. So just a little bit about this. This is a 121-page document. For anybody listening, there are 38 projects listed in the master plan with 7 other initiatives. So we're going to go through a few of them. Ones that we are currently in progress that I'd just like to highlight on this page. Jacobs Creek Bateau Landing was a really exciting project. There was major flooding. We had no idea that was going to happen. We're trying to create a better flood resilient project. And so with funding from Dan River State Trail, with the Complete the Trails program, we're able to fund a huge chunk of that with Rockingham County TDA as well to restore Jacobs Creek Bateau Landing to make it a functional river access, and that'll obviously extend a lot of our trail on the Dan River and include Mayo River on it. So it'll be a great jaunt for people going from 135 to Jacobs Creek as well. And just helps with expanding options. So, you think about tubing, you think about Madison River Park to 704, and now we can think about 704 to Jacobs Creek as well, and really making that a more accessible access. We're also working on the Dan River Greenway extension with Matrimony Creek. This has been a partnership with Lindsay, PCC, Piedmont Conservation Council, and DARBA. We reached out to the city of Eden about some property along the river. Mostly, I was interested for watershed protection, but also it turns out that there's a trail on it. There would be a trail opportunity on it that's listed in this master plan, and we are actually on the top list for Land and Water Fund for that land acquisition, which is really exciting. So details to come with the signed letter from the secretary, but that will be a great asset and extend Matrimony Creek Greenway and the Dan River Greenway to connect all of the bottom lands of Eden, which will be a beautiful opportunity, and maybe offer more tubing and things like that, and obviously more nature viewing. What else was I thinking about?
Ferris Park.
Oh, yes. And then Ferris Park, where Lindsay, this has been on our master plan as well. Ferris Memorial Park is obviously a well-loved trail. Huge races there. NICA comes once a year, even twice a year sometimes, and it's a huge asset to bringing people to our community and showing them what we have. So working on extending those, we have a grant submitted that is being submitted currently for funds for that to extend, how many miles?
we're looking at like 3 miles.
About 3 miles of trail to extend that local asset. So when you think about adding miles to the trails that you already have, it brings in outdoor people as well, or outside people as well. So you think about people from Greensboro, people from Martinsville. Our community obviously loves it so much. I'm sure they would love another trail to explore once it gets open. So a few project enhancements ongoing include a lot of programming, which we'll talk about in the next slide, but also water safety check campaign. So this is included, it's called Play It Safe on the River. Eden has these at each of their river accesses. We're also working, Madison River Park will have one. And these are also just a quick rack card of all the information that are on those signs. And I actually just got them translated to Spanish as well. So we'll have those available at all of our outdoor retailers, Parks and Rec places. Lindsay will have them. We've already been sharing them when we've been out at Riverfest and places like that. So we're really excited about that. Just a few projects or programming opportunities that we've had this year. Obviously, like you can build a trail and they may not come, so you got to program it as well. So some things that we are really excited about, obviously anti-litter campaigns. So trails are well loved and they're well loved. Maybe too much, where a lot of trash happens. A lot of our trails are in floodways, so doing cleanups are really important. We love sponsorships with these. We work with our local business partners to create these. Purina helped us with Tails on Trails, which advocates for, better dog safety on trails, which is also really important. Our next one is actually at Mayo River State Park in November if y'all want to bring your dogs. And then throughout this whole summer, we've had kayak safety classes with a local outfitter business, and these were all throughout the North Carolina boundary of the Dan River Basin. So we had a few at Lake Reedsville and Hanging Rock. Super important for us to also, if we're getting people on the river, we have to teach them how to be safe on it. So along with our rack cards about being safe, if people need, hands-on experience, we were offering these for free, which was an awesome asset to our community. And a lot of people, we had over 60 people join us for those. So full classes for most of them. And obviously, DARBA has First Saturday outings, and we highlight a lot of the trails and river accesses in Rockingham County. And a new thing that we did this year with the Dan River State Trail was Dan River Weekend, which we promoted all of our assets in Rockingham County regarding the Dan River. So we had a little bit for the history buffs, people who like to play trivia, beginners, obviously, and then more experienced boaters. And we had our first Saturday outing with a social afterwards in Stokes County. So we're just looking to expand that. We had over 200 people attend this event, which is really exciting, just to get people interested in what the Dan River is and how they could paddle it all. So really exciting about that. And I'll hand it over to Lindsay.
Fantastic. All right. So my question, and this is kind of what I get asked a lot, is why outdoor recreation? Like, what is the tie back to tourism? What does that mean? It's, the projects that Anna just mentioned are not only beneficial to our communities, but also to our tourism efforts. Because for us in the county, tourism is outdoor recreation, and outdoor recreation can be simply defined as basically recreational activities that occur outdoors. So you're looking at hiking, biking, tubing, paddling. We don't really have public equestrian trails, but anything that you can do outdoors, off-highway vehicle usage, ATVs, side-by-sides. So this all started, at least for me, because I'm fairly new, if I could still say that. This all started really with the initiative through the Great Trail State Coalition. And so if you all remember, you were the first to sign the resolution for the Year of the Trail in 2023. Thank you. So that kind of kicked things off for us here in the county, in my mind. Anna and DARBA, we've been doing a lot as far as with our outdoor recreation assets, but really kind of starting to create that outdoor recreation economy. And we did so with the start of the Year of the Trail, which was the largest celebration of outdoor recreation and trails in American history. That same year, the Great Trail State Coalition secured funding, which we'll talk about a little bit later, for the $25 million Great Trail State program. So the great stuff happening. Kind of to catch everyone up to speed, I think with the commissioners, but also just the communities here, that you all are pretty much, you know that we participated, or we're still participating in the Department of Commerce's CORE program, which is creating outdoor recreation economies. So what that is just really that we are one of the 34 local governments that across the state that were able to take part in this program. And it just offers, and we have a draft strategic plan that we're able to kind of take back, and I'll be presenting that to you probably sometime later in the early winter. But it's essentially that strategic planning technical assistance to help our communities, Madison, Mayodan, Stoneville, those are the ones we focused on with this particular plan, kind of leverage those outdoor resources. So we know there's the Mayor River State Park, we know there's the Mayor River, we know there's the Dan River, and it's a state trail. So we have all these, we have Ferris Park, and we have all these other parks. What can we do? How do we program them? How can we continue to build on them? And I'll kind of highlight some of the things that are already coming out of that strategic plan. Most importantly, we were able to partner with North Carolina State University, and I think you all will really like this when I do present the final strategic plan, in that they helped kind of the Department of Landscape Architecture, they were able to kind of bring to life these concepts that we talked about in the core stakeholder meetings. So what they've brought and are bringing for Madison, Mayodan, and Stoneville, it's unbelievable. And I really think it takes what assets they have and it turns them into feasible, attainable kind of outdoor projects. So that's one thing, the CORE program. Secondly, then you may have seen this, we recently dropped this, is that Rockingham County participated, was one of 15 of the partners of the Outdoor NC partners that participated in the inaugural first ever Trail Town designation. And the actual Trail Town guide, this is a print copy, it's digital, so I would encourage everyone to go to outdoornc.com to see that. Rockingham County's in there, and they did a great job with that. And so what they're able to see in there is that there are 15 destinations and just over 100 trails that they show and that they've dedicated that you can explore. So those are like greenways, hiking, mountain biking, road biking, everything, and it's all throughout the state. So for Rockingham County to be in that guide, yes, awesome stuff. So that's, and Outdoor NC is one of our partners. We love that partnership. Another thing that's going on is that just recently Madison and Mayodan have adopted a greenway study that was conducted over the summer. Now this kind of ties back into the core strategic plan. It's long been talked about and discussed, how do you connect Madison and Mayodan via greenway? Because you're thinking about all the economic impacts. You've got something for visitors to do, that when they come into the county, you're linking two towns together. You're going along the Dan River, up to the confluence of the Mayo, on and on. So they actually were able to get an updated plan, and that was presented and adopted by both towns. And to kind of catch up or bring you up to speed, Mayodan is actually working on a phase of that at the Washington Mills site. So I'll be able to kind of dive into that more when I present the core strategic plan. So kind of wrapping we're doing a lot of things, a lot of projects. We've got a lot that's already happened, that's being created or it is created. So what's that mean? What is the outdoor recreation economy? And so this is the numbers part. And so this is from a study from 2018, and you'll see this if you go to the Great Trail State Coalition website, but it's an important number, and that is for every dollar. It's a number one question. What's it going to cost to build? For every dollar that you spend on trail construction, that generates $1.72 annually from local business revenue, sales tax revenue. I mean, that is just reoccurring. And that shows you that trails are important. They do pay for themselves. And for me, when I say trails, I'm thinking about walking trails, biking trails. I'm also thinking of paddle trails. So we have a lot of river accesses. So this is a great kind of infographic here. But yes, they are important. They provide our communities, they provide visitors opportunities to connect with, our people, to connect with nature and just to get out and move and things like that. I will state, and this is something that's in the next slide, is that the outdoor recreation economy in North Carolina, before I move and talk about Rockingham County, the outdoor recreation economy in North Carolina is a $14.6 billion industry. Huge. Outdoor rec is huge. It is, and it does, and I will say it does impact our economy here, especially in Rockingham County. And these are the numbers, and if you've seen the press release just this year, in August it came out that Rockingham County recorded its highest level of visitor spending, and that was at $93.86 million. The state also recorded its highest visitor spending of $35.6 billion, and that record, they broke the one from last year, as did we. We saw a spending growth rate of 6.4%, which is the 26th fastest growing in tourism revenue. You're like, 26, Lindsay? But when you look at some of our neighboring counties where they plateaued with visitor spending, we did not. So what do we attribute that to? I would like to say that a lot of it is towards that outdoor recreation economy that we're building. River tubing, paddling, our state trails. We actually have two in the county, the Hall River State Trail and Dan River State Trail. I'm working on a designation for the Hall River out at High Rock Ford. Fingers crossed on that. We have two state parks, the Mayor River, Hall River. A lot of rural, if you think about it, rural counties, they don't have those type of outdoor assets. We do. So I'm very, very thankful for that. And then also, this was noted in our last TDA meeting that along with the $93.86 million in visitor spending, $3.1 million was in local taxes was generated from that visitor spending. That's great. That's awesome. It's good for us in the county. And then I will say, to kind of wrap it all up, I can't do this alone. Tourism, TDA, we don't do it alone. We do it because of a lot of the partnerships and the collaborations that we have, not only with our municipalities, but our nonprofit partners, our state partners as well. And then what that ties into, and along with being able to adopt a master plan like this or a strategic plan like the core strategic plan, is that we're able to go through and go after some of these funding sources that you see on the screen. For instance, the Great Trail State Program funding. That's a big one. The deadline's actually been pushed to November 12th. So we're looking at a project for that to meet that deadline. RTP, I know that you all, the commissioners, just signed up on an RTP grant that we submitted for trails around the governmental center. Thank you. So there are a lot of funding sources out there, but I don't do it alone. I have a lot of partners, a lot of co-collaborators, a lot of people that get sick of me hounding them or emailing them like, hey, what do you think about this project? Or, hey, can you think we can do this? But here on the screen are some of our partners, Dan River Basin Association, thank you, Anna Wheeler, the Mayor River State Park, our Hall River State Park, Resilient Trails Network is our newest nonprofit in the county, Piedmont Conservation Council, our RPO through PTRC, Piedmont Land Conservancy. And the list goes on and on. Obviously, our state partners as well, Outdoor NC, Visit NC, NC Commerce, NC DOT. Been working with them for an encroachment agreement for river access. But in closing, I just want to say, and I wrote something out today because I know I talk really fast. I apologize. I said I get up here and I get going, but in light of everything happening in Western North Carolina, this came out in a newsletter on Friday from the Great Trails State Coalition. But it is important to note that during this time of heartache and devastation, the communities that were impacted in WNC or Western North Carolina are truly the essence of trail country. Trails are important to that community, and their economies rely on trails and outdoor recreation. You see, based on the photos that you've seen in the videos, how important outdoor recreation is to that area of the state. And that the Great Trail State Coalition has encouraged us. I failed to mention this, but there is a state day that highlights trails, and that is October. It's coming up next weekend. It's October 19th. It is now law that is the third Saturday of every October will be the Great Trail State Day. And the Great Trail State Coalition has encouraged us to, and I'm encouraging you all and the county to make it a day to appreciate our trails. Like use October 19th to discover a new trail or to find an event, because trails do heal, and we need trails. And then lastly, I'd like to thank Rockingham County and you all, the board, our emergency service members, our local organizations, our churches, and volunteers for lending support and helping our Western North Carolina neighbors. North Carolina will recover. We are resilient, and we are the Great Trail State. Any questions?
Gentlemen, any questions?
I don't have questions, just a statement, if I could.
Yes, Commissioner.
So I appreciate your excitement. If there's any one person that presents to us that's any more excited than you are, I haven't seen it.
I'm sorry, I
So
can't turn it off.
No, don't apologize. So I also wanted to say that, our outdoor group, our hunting, fishing, wildlife committee.
Yes, sir.
Did a tubing trip last year down the river. And of course, you were very instrumental, both of you, in helping put that together. But I was amazed to see the number of folks that were from outside of the county that were on the river that day. It was a large group from Forsyth County that had come up here and using that. And then I also wanted to say to you, Lindsay, I thank you and for what you do and for being so involved with our outdoor day for the wildlife committee. I'm not going to say we couldn't do it without you, but it would be tremendously more difficult to do it without you.
It was a lot of
and
fun. Thank you.
What you bring to the table. So thank you so much.
Any other comments or questions? With that, I think the ask tonight is for us to approve the resolution in support of Pathways Trails Master Plan for Rockingham County. So that's the ask, if I understand that correct.
You are correct.
So gentlemen, do we have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Very good. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Next item on our list is new business. Mr. Manager, is there any new business?
No, sir.
Commissioner comments. Commissioner Barrow, congratulations on the expansion of your family.
Thank you, Chairman Hall. Yes, conspicuous about my absence at our last commissioners' meeting, September the 16th. I was at the hospital. My wife gave birth to our first child. We had a baby boy who's healthy.
On your birthday.
On my birthday, yes, sir. So everybody's home and well and happy. I'd like to thank everybody and ask everybody to continue praying for the folks in Western North Carolina. The county will continue collecting supplies that we've been sending up through the 10th of this month. You can drop those supplies off 7 to 7 at all of the different access points that are located on our county website, but all of the libraries here over on Cherokee Camp Road and at all the municipality hall, town hall buildings. I was struck by a comment that was made earlier during our recognition of breast cancer awareness about the lack of facilities on the western part of the county. And obviously, this is a problem that's much bigger than us as county commissioners, but since we're doing awareness, one thing that I think a lot of people are not aware of is something called Certificate of Need laws. This was something that originated in the 1980s with the United States Congress, where they mandated that all states had to adopt Certificate of Need laws. Since then, many states have repealed these. North Carolina still has some of this lingering around. And what a Certificate of Need law is that there are entities that have equipment, such as hospitals have mammogram machines and MRI machines and that sort of thing. And whenever a doctor's office or some type of business that does that kind of work wants to get a new piece of equipment, they have to get permission from the hospitals, which is about the most anti-competitive and un-American thing I can think of. But if a hospital says, we don't think this organization needs an MRI machine, or we don't think this organization needs a breast cancer scan machine, they can just kibosh it. And then the organization, even if they have the money and they have the training, they can't have one of these machines. So I would encourage everybody to just pay attention to this, contact your state legislature, tell them we want to get rid of Certificate of Need laws. And I believe, last thing, I'd like to thank the Boys and Girls, Girl Scouts. I had the opportunity to go speak to the Girl Scouts of Eden tonight to talk to them about local government and elections at the Eden Library. So I'd like to thank all those ladies for having me and encourage everybody to buy Girl Scout cookies when they're available. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Richardson.
I'm not going to try to race against these fast talkers tonight, but I do want to express appreciation to everybody looking in and participating here with their presence with our meetings. It means a lot. And I also particularly want to express appreciation to all the many, many individuals, companies, charities, churches, all Rockingham County folks that are contributing majorly to the relief effort for the western part of North Carolina. But I want to offer a caution. You're probably not going to get a legitimate phone call soliciting monies. So if you do get some sort of solicitation, use good judgment. If you have question about the authenticity of requests and so forth, call the county, call the Red Cross, call any number of folks here that are available to verify that it's a legitimate request. But in the meantime, so many people deserve thanks for that. I certainly appreciated April Cox's testimony. My youngest daughter suffered not from breast cancer, but from cancer. And cancer is more than an ugly word. It is a terror. And anything that we can do to keep people aware and seek early recognition and early treatment is of benefit to the entire community as well as those individuals that are afflicted. And as usual, I want to recognize one of our county employees, and that is Ms. Cindy Herring. I call her Mrs. Whereas because she takes care of all of our resolutions here in Rockingham County and puts the right words down to make our resolutions viable and accurate. Cindy's been with us for quite some time and serves as a paralegal there to our county attorney and is recognized throughout this building here for the excellent work she does and her loyalty to the county. So thank you very much, Cindy Herring. We appreciate you. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Berger?
Yes, thank you. Thank everyone for coming out tonight and for tuning in. I want to thank Ms. Claybrook for helping us with the pledge tonight. And I think that's a wonderful program that we've started thanks to Commissioner Powell. So if you know of any young members of our community that would like to lead the pledge at one of our meetings, please contact county administration or one of the board members. And yes, we did have two moving testimonies tonight from Ms. Fox and Ms. Cox as well. And many families have been touched by cancer of different forms, including my own, with the issues that my wife had about 15 years ago, or 16 years ago when it started. We do have a tremendous resource in our community for those that are not aware, and that's the Barry Joyce Cancer Center that's located on Ayersville Road in Mayodan. And Jennifer, who runs that organization, does a tremendous job for members of this community in helping them in many ways. So those that are at home tuning in may have heard some of the testimonies tonight and may not be aware of what's available in the community. So I would encourage you to reach out to the Barry Joyce Cancer Center for any assistance that you may need. And you have heard about the hurricane relief efforts here in the county. I want to thank our manager and our employees for all the efforts that they are putting into that and the time that they're putting into collecting those goods. I understand that Rockingham County now shows up on Google Maps as the number one, or some part of Google as the number one drop-off location outside of the mountains for hurricane relief. So doing a tremendous job as far as county administration and county staff in organizing those efforts, and thank you for that. That's all. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I could add one more thing to that. If you are considering contributing money instead of supplies and/or supplies, the two that we've recommended is Samaritan Purse and VOAD, which is the Voluntary Organizations Action in Disaster. And we have actually extended it past the 10th. I kind of made an executive decision since we're getting so much supplies in. We're just going to stay open as long as we need to until we can provide. If it goes to the November or however long it takes to bring in stuff to get these folks what they need, we're going to stay open.
Thank you, Lance. Commissioner Powell?
So I did not see any elected officials here in our meeting tonight, and I have one announcement to make. We're still looking for nominees for Volunteer of the Month. So if you have somebody that you'd like to nominate, you can go on the website and do that, or you can call and pass that information along to our clerk, Susan Washburn. I wanted to say something about the two ladies that come tonight and just let folks know that was a decision of this board to ask survivors to come and speak. to Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And so when we talk about the need for facilities on the western side of the county, that's not something that we have control over, although I would readily agree. And we would certainly be in tune with talking to our state representatives about helping us with that. But that's, as Commissioner Barrow pointed out, there are a lot of restrictions and different parameters that have to be worked in with that. Certainly, breast cancer is a terrible thing. Cancer in and of itself is. My grandmother died with breast cancer, and all of her sisters, I believe there were 6 sisters, and every one of them died with breast cancer. So we are certainly pleased with how far that's come along in the present day with the treatments and the early detection. And we would certainly encourage you to continue to see your doctors on a regular basis, because age doesn't matter anymore. It used to be, it was just older people, but now, as we learned tonight, it can be under 40. So we would encourage you to do that. With that, Mr. Chair, I believe that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Again, I'd like to echo other comments. Thank you to the folks in Rockingham County, to the businesses in Rockingham County for their generous donations. It's been very overwhelming to see the support that's been offered. But I'd be remiss if I didn't thank our county employees for the work that they're putting in distributing, repackaging, all these things, getting them out to the western part of the state. We also have employees traveling to the western part of the state to offer assistance, emergency management. We're going to have inspectors, health inspectors, building inspectors, such as that, going out to help deal with the aftermath of this storm. So, again, I want to thank our employees and thank our county manager for your leadership on this. We appreciate you, Lance, in leading us.
And also, I'd be remiss if we didn't say Derek. He's done a really good job with that. Derek Southern, the Assistant County Manager.
Well, there have been so many. That's true. Thank you very much. Well, guys, with that, we will close, and we'll say our next meeting is going to be October 21st at 6:30 here in this room. And with that, we'll offer a motion to adjourn. Thank you, Commissioner Richardson, and we have a second. All in favor, say aye. All right. Folks, we are adjourned.